So what John and Kevin demoed and what Barry talked about really underscores the new face of monitoring. We've raised the bar for what unified monitoring means with the idea of the business transaction. It gives you the best way to monitor your app performance, but it also gives you the ability to monitor user experience and business success. And ultimately, what's really exciting is that it creates a new culture of collaboration between IT and business. Now, to help facilitate this, we introduced something a year ago called BusinessIQ. It's a core part of the AppIQ platform, and it helps you go way beyond traditional IT models like measuring mean time to awareness of a problem in your technology stack, and start measuring something we call mean time to business awareness. And what makes this really special, as I just alluded to, is that we see people working together in completely new ways. When we visit customers now, we see developers, we see ops leaders, we see marketers, we see executives all huddled together over a single AppDynamics dashboard, reviewing how their business is doing in real time. We've seen NASDAQ use BusinessIQ to understand usage trends in their applications. We've seen Disco use BusinessIQ to segment their largest hotel chain customers and measure critical metrics like total bookings and room availability by those major customers. And we've seen Carhartt use BusinessIQ to monitor their purchase funnels so they can quickly identify application performance issues and see how they're impacting conversion rates. In fact, this is probably my favorite example right now with Carhartt, because Carhartt, for those of you who don't know, is a Detroit-based company, clothing company, that's focused on clothing for farmers, for plumbers, for construction workers, really the most traditional company you can think of in many ways. It's not the typical company you see written up on the front page of the New York Times about being a disruptor in the industry. But the reality is they're changing and they're being more progressive than most companies in their space by using AppDynamics to transform themselves into one of the most progressive online brands. Instead of me trying to describe this to you, listen to it in their own words. Let's listen to Carhartt.
In the retail space, it used to be about you discover a product by going into a store. Today, you learn about a product on Instagram. We see the industry is changing so fast. The speed at which things operate are not like they were even just 5 years ago. Here at Carhartt, everybody prides himself on being part of a company that is dedicated to the hardworking consumer, and that really shows through in everything that happens here.
The digital-first economy has really enabled us to connect with our end consumer, but it comes with the caveat that we've got to have a great user experience. We can't jeopardize the brand recognition and the brand quality that we have.
In this industry, when customers complain, that means some customers haven't complained, and you've lost that revenue. We didn't have real-time monitoring or performance management. We had slowness on orders, and we wouldn't have known about that problem until customers started complaining to the help desk.
We wanted to take a look at our application monitoring and our server monitoring. What we found was we were reporting out metrics around uptime that were not really reliable for the business. We were saying we were up 99, 4.9s, 5.9s. Problem is that from a business process standpoint, we weren't really up.
For Carhartt, relationships are a big driver in how we do business. And it became really clear that AppDynamics had that right culture to work with Carhartt, that sense of urgency and what was the art of the possible, so to speak.
We were able to identify 4 or 5 key business transactions that were key to business process and business metrics, whether it was inventory related, order related, checkout related.
Doing a lot of the work with AppDynamics on putting in the monitoring capability, we were now taking the next step, which was BusinessIQ. BusinessIQ provides a vehicle for both business colleagues and the IT colleagues to collaborate together on a single source of the truth, not only business metrics, but IT system metrics, so that we're operating from the same point of view.
Cyber Monday, we were sitting in a conference room with our AppD business dashboard, real time, seeing how we were tracking for the day. Hey, we just pushed out a new ad. Are we seeing response? Yeah, we just saw visitors jump. We had an issue with orders dropping to our back-end system, and we were able to see it as it was happening and react to it before it ever impacted user experience. And that was a first for us. For Carhartt, we have a theme: we outwork them all. And as IT, we want to support that. It's about how can we work smarter? How can we work faster? How can we work better? With AppDynamics, they can help us outwork them all.
I love that quote. Honestly, coming from Silicon Valley, I love the idea of traditional 100-year-old American companies disrupting industries. The thing that I loved about that was when they talked about the fact that we just pushed out an ad and we're watching and we see the traffic jumping and we can watch the conversion rates, all of it transacting in real time. All of this started a year ago. Carhartt was at our event a year ago when they came to Las Vegas for AppSphere. And they saw BusinessIQ. They liked what they saw, so they outworked them all, right? They adopted AppDynamics in record time. They implemented our unified monitoring capabilities, and they leveraged BusinessIQ with incredible effectiveness within the company. And here we are a year later, and I'd like to invite up John Hill, the CIO of Carhartt, up on stage to talk about his experience. John. Welcome, John. How are things going?
Great.
What do you got there?
I have a little gift for you just to make sure that you feel warm coming to the Midwest in the winter to visit your customers. So here's one of the iconic hats.
Excellent. I will thank you for this, and I hope you don't mind. I'm not going to have a Mike Dukakis moment and put this on. So, so John, first of all, thank you for taking the time to come out here. We love the video. We've loved working with your team. One of the things you guys have stressed in the context of the conversation and the engagement is how this has really helped change the relationship between IT and the line of business owners in Carhartt. Can you maybe, for the audience, explain a little bit about really what has changed and how that's allowed you to work differently?
Sure. The real-time capabilities of BusinessIQ certainly have changed that relationship with our business colleagues. So we've really mapped out that entire consumer journey, and we can monitor and track what's happening in real time. And whether that's understanding what a system change, a content change, and even if they never happen, a performance issue, and how does that really impact the business outcomes? Instead of the old days, we would have been looking at data historically and then trying to piece it together. Now we've got the business colleagues and IT folks sitting together in the same room, looking at data that means something to them individually and then collectively as a group. So really changed that dynamic and sped up our ability to react.
Great, thanks. The other thing that you guys talked about in the video was the urgency that you have and that was shared by AppDynamics. Can you talk a little bit about the engagement and what it was like to actually implement this?
Yeah, a lot of suppliers will say, this is very easy to do, plug and play, you're ready to go. And I think most CIOs take that with a little bit of a grain of salt. But in this case, it really was very quick from a technology perspective to implement. And most of the time then was spent with the AppDynamics team, really working to understand what those transactions were and helping us model that out. And as we said in the video, culture and relationships are a big part of who we choose to work with. And we felt like we had just a great relationship with the entire AppDynamics team to put that together.
Great, thank you. And that's something we hear time and time again. Obviously, there are two parts to any implementation, right? There's the technical part and the technology, getting that in and having it work. The other part, though, is the cultural change that needs to be driven within the organization. I think what we found at Carhartt was an organization that was really leaning forward and saying, we want to work this new way. Some companies we walk into, it's a little bit further down that curve and need a little bit more thought and approach and process around that. We're there to help wherever you fall on that spectrum. Last question for you. What do you think has been the biggest insight or change that's been driven as a result of implementing this?
Yeah, as I thought about it, the biggest insight or change for us is the ability for us to be more nimble. And I'll take in a good example of a high-pressure day is Cyber Monday for any retailer. And we were able to use BusinessIQ to help us in terms of promotion management and be able to model out and understand what was happening with our promotions in real time. And as a result, be able to react and change the promotion so we didn't have a bad consumer experience. And at the end, we can take more aggressive stances in terms of how we go about those opportunities And I think without that, we would be more conservative and maybe not take those opportunities.
John, thank you for taking the time to come out here. Thanks for the business, and thanks for the hat.
Thanks.
Take care. Modern businesses need strong, real-time cooperation between IT and business. So to show you how this works, I'd like to invite up Marissa Shumway to talk you through how BusinessIQ works and how you can start better partnering with your business. Marissa?
So I am so excited to be here today, partly because I get to introduce some new technology. But before I do that, I want to give you a little bit of context. This morning you heard my colleagues and our customers talk about the business transaction. And the business transaction is really changing the way people monitor their apps. No longer is it only about services and machines, but a set of business transactions that reflects the way your customers are interacting with your apps. But this is just the beginning of what's possible. Our customers, they're modernizing, they're innovating, they're rethinking traditional ways of managing services and operations, and they've told us that they need a way to break down process silos and isolated data so that they can understand a business process holistically. And we're solving this problem. Once again, we're leading the way with our customers, and I'm so excited to introduce to you today Business Journeys. Business Journeys makes it possible to author, join, analyze, and monitor multiple distributed business events that take place over a series of time. Now, to help explain this concept, let's think of the example of a bank loan. How many of you have applied for a mortgage? Okay. About 50% of you. So about 50% of you know that this can be an extremely painful and time-consuming process that takes place over a number of weeks and takes place over a number of business events or milestones or applications. So if you think about it, we have, in a loan process, about 5 discrete business events or milestones. These could be transaction events, they could be log events. Each of these events could have multiple business transactions within them. So these events, for example, with a bank loan, could be loan application, document verification, credit check, underwriting, and loan approval. And they take place over a number of days. Well, Business Journeys makes it possible to link these events into a single process. So now you can understand this process completely holistically. You have a strategic advantage that you never had before, because you can now see where are the people gaps, where's the latency in both my people processes and where's the latency in my compute time. So by analyzing the journey, you can really optimize performance to drive the best business outcome. It also means that DevOps can work together, Dev and Ops, to make sure that they are prioritizing the features that they release and the code that they write. So with that, I'd like to welcome my incredibly smooth and intelligent colleague, Amod, to the stage. Thanks for being here.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Marissa.
Great. So today we have the same AD financial services company that we were looking at before. And this company is a very modern company, and they have multiple lines of business, probably 5 lines of business like other financial services firms. It could be credit cards, it could be loan processing, investments, trading. But today we're just going to focus on loan processing. And when you look at this business, you know that they need to find the KPIs so that they can start to validate investments and look at the code that they're writing. So let's switch over to the application view if we could do that so that we could look into the demo. Great. So here we have the view of what the loan business looks like inside of AppDynamics. We can see that the business transactions will be automatically created as well. So just like you saw in AppIQ. So Amod, how do we set this up in BusinessIQ?
Turning on BusinessIQ is really simple. You can hit the configuration tab under Analytics, choose the app that you want. In this case, we'll pick the same AD Financial app, and check this box to turn on transaction analytics. By default, we will start collecting every single one of transactions that's coming into your system. But you can pick and choose the ones you want. For the purposes of this demo, you'll see that I've chosen a few loan-related transactions, while I've removed some other ones like wire services, webfront, and account management that I don't need for this demo. You can also enhance these transactions with more business data by setting up data collectors. These are basically classes and methods that you instrument. For example, let's take a look at the loan application data collector, where I'm instrumenting the utils class to extract information like loan amount. This loan amount now gets added to the same business transaction context that already has information like response time and end-to-end transaction user experience.
OK, great. So now we have this correlation of application and business performance data, and we can see that we're getting this fed up to us right away. So how would I get this into the latest release of my code?
You can do this at runtime without any source code changes.
OK, that's critical because it means I don't have to go out and work with my IT team. I can just go ahead and get this into my latest release on the fly without any source code changes. So let's try to get some answers from this data now. For example, I'd love to know, what is the average loan amount?
Sure. We've got a simple query language for you to get insights from this data. Let's find out what the average loan amount looks like. For that, I'll filter down all the transactions to the one that are coming from AD Financial, and then just calculate the average loan amount.
OK, so that's a simple query language, just like SQL. You can use common where to from calls like that.
That's right. And you get the average loan amount. Now, if this was something you were interested in doing again and again, you could schedule this query as a metric, which will cause it to execute once every minute. The results of those queries will then be sent to our AppIQ platform and stored as a metric where all our metrics from APM and real user monitoring go.
OK, great. And just like you can baseline your technical metrics, you can also baseline your business metrics. So you can create a threshold and a baseline and know how your business is performing.
That's right. You can create health rules on your business metrics.
Great.
You can set up alerts on those health rules. And when those health rules get violated, we can alert you via email, we can send you text messages, or we can even notify you in your Slack channels.
OK, so now we have this information, but I want to be able to go to my business teams, to my entire application team. I want to see my data, and I want to get more answers. So how do I do that?
Right. So, BusinessIQ gives you a bunch of widgets to choose from. What you're seeing on your screen is a simple numeric widget. Now, I'm not a designer, but I do have a dashboard that shows us the overall health of our loans business. So what you're seeing on your screen right now is a real-time view of what's happened in the last 1 hour. You're seeing the number of active customers. You're seeing the number of loan applications that were applied in the last 1 hour. And as you just saw, this dashboard actually updates in real time. You're seeing the percentage of loan applications that were delayed. You're seeing the average approval time. And towards the bottom, you're seeing the funnel and the drop-off that's happening in our loan journey as each application flows through different steps.
OK, this is huge. It may seem like this is something that you've seen before, but this is actually these business events or milestones. You can see that they're taking place over time. Now, this is a demo environment, so you're seeing milliseconds and hours, but in reality, this would be days, weeks, sometimes even months. So as we're looking at this, we can see this drop-off that's critical. Right away at a glance, I can know that there's something happening between my credit check API and underwriting. And up at the top there, I'm seeing this massive delay in my business. And as a CIO or just an application owner, looking at that, I know that time is money, and that's critical to me. I need to be able to understand what's happening because right now I'm losing money. So how would we find this out?
I was hoping you would ask me that. This is one of the things we've been working on for some time, and personally, I'm very excited about. Business journeys is critical to your business. We are working on this new feature that lets you track and monitor the health of your complicated business journeys. You can add them by going here, but let me pull up one that I created some time ago. What you're seeing here is a business journey for every single loan application that comes into our system, all the milestones it goes through. You can add milestones, and we'll show you an up-to-date model at the bottom. Each of these milestones can be represented by any of the different event types that's available inside of BusinessIQ. You can choose transaction events from different applications. You can choose log events or even end-user events. Now, this is important to understand. This is incredibly powerful. For the first time, You can now stitch together data from applications and systems that AppDynamics is not even instrumenting by pulling together log messages and stitching them together with transactions. Let's take a look at all the milestones that we've already set up. The first one is an application submission milestone that's represented by a transaction event. It's coming from the same AD financial application that John and Marissa showed you. We've got verified documentation, credit check, and underwriting. Underwriting is actually a log event that stitches together that's stitched together between two transaction events. Now, you're also seeing that I'm extracting a bunch of metadata fields from these milestones. I'm extracting account ID, loan type, location city. But the most important field here is the loan ID. That's the primary key that stitches together multiple consecutive milestones.
Okay, so this is interesting, and I noticed that with transaction events, it usually takes place in milliseconds. So how would I calculate for user experience with business journeys?
That's exactly right. Transactions are rapid by definition, but you've told us that your business journeys are complex, that sometimes they take minutes, hours, days, or even weeks. Business journeys lets you track these out of the box no matter how long they take. We've got some sensible defaults out of the box. These are health thresholds that you can tweak, and then which will be used to calculate user experience for all your business journeys. Once you've created these business journeys in BusinessIQ, you'll see a new event type appear. So I called them loan approvals, and you're seeing a new loan approval event type here. You're also seeing aggregate view of what types of loans customers are applying for, what are my most active branches. Towards the bottom, you can see a statistical distribution of end-to-end time for the business journey right from the time an application was submitted to a time when loan was approved. Now, this is aggregate information, but if you wanted to look at each individual loan application as it flowed through your system, you could just hit the data tab and look at each and every single loan application.
Okay, this is great. I'm seeing all green here, though, so let's get back to that delayed loan. How do I find out about that?
Right. It looks like the top loan applications that have come in recently were all green. But we've already set our thresholds based on the feedback that we got from business. I can now very easily filter this list to the ones that had a poor user experience. Let me go and select slow, very slow, apply. And now these are all the loan applications which took a long time to get approved. I could double click into any one of these. See, it's already marked so. This is the total end-to-end time that this loan application took for approval. And it looks like the verified documentation step is taking a long time. All the other steps are a few seconds, but this one's taking 23 minutes.
Okay, that's great. This is the first time that I've seen this kind of interaction here with this long amount of time. So let's back. Can we see some more information here, then?
Yeah, you can drill down into the underlying event if you wanted to. You can go and look at the specific transaction event. You could go and look at the specific log event. But you could also go back and look at the aggregate loan business. And now it looks like when I filter down to only the slow and very slow loan applications, it looks like the loan type that gets impacted most is the small business loan type.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Amod.
Thank you, everyone.
We saw at a very high level, we saw this new concept of business journeys. So taking multiple business events or milestones and linking them into a single business journey. And then we were able to drill down and actually look at what is the root cause of this problem? What are my different loan types? What is this statistical time series analysis so I can understand what's happening to my process? So BusinessIQ is really advancing. We're seeing that you're able to do things like business health monitoring, so understanding how your application performance is impacting your business performance. You're able to look at every user journey and to look at your releases so that you know which release is driving the highest business impact. So you can look at every user journey and every segment journey, so your most critical segment your most critical segments, and now you're able to look at your most important business journeys. When I think back to all of the progress that we've made with BusinessIQ and the things that our customers are doing, we can see that business journeys can have a huge impact within different industries. Just think about it. With retail, it's no longer just the shopping cart experience, but you can now loop in shipping and fulfillment, inventory, and returns. In a manufacturing plant, you could ingest millions of lines of data and optimize that process so that you can generate more goods and generate more revenue. So this is really changing the way people are building and running their business, and I'm so excited to introduce it. With that, I will invite David Wadhwani back onto the stage.